So I'm Amir. My talk is called From Inspiration to Production. And so I'm going to walk you through some real world workflows of, what do you do with this stuff? So how do you go from Midjourney to Figma or create app design or UX design with these tools, and what I'm also noticing in the industry. So a little bit about me. This is basically captures my career in a nutshell. So in the early 2000s, I was an illustrator, and one of my first jobs out of school was at South Park. So I was a technical director at South Park for a number of years. So worked in the entertainment industry, and believe it or not, somehow ended up in tech from there. It's a long story. And so for the last 16 plus years, I've had the opportunity and the privilege to work for, really big companies like Microsoft. I guess Betty and I worked for Microsoft both. And then creative consultancies, as well as mid to late stage and fast growing startups. So I've had the opportunity to work on everything from the wayfinding, digital wayfinding systems at the World Trade Center, to figuring out how AI fits into the productivity tools you use. And in recent years, I started my own digital agency. So it's called Confetti Labs. And we're hired to deliver a strategy, user experience, and creative. And you can take a picture of the QR code if you want to connect with us. So we do everything from facilitating workshops to user research, to delivering user experience designs, and to detail design, so creative illustration. So some of the questions about artwork integrity is sensitive. But for better or worse, what I'm noticing is that our clients are increasingly coming to us with either knowledge of AI and the ability to create designs themselves, or they're coming to us and welcoming us to use tools, AI tools, to deliver designs as well. So I wanted to share some of the things that I've observed. So there's a couple of potential benefits of AI for creative people that I think are legitimate, which is that, AI does jumpstart creativity. So when you're just starting out, I think it's a great tool. You can think of it as your creative collaborator that generates, design and copy suggestions, explore unique design compositions. It can assist with iteration. And then something I call design accessibility, which it empowers a broader range of users, including small business owners and non-designers, to create content as reference. So clients might come to you and they say, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking for. It doesn't mean you're no longer relevant. It just means that they have more direction for you. And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it frees up designers to do other things that they're great at, which is complex problem solving, storytelling, and other elements of design. So I tend to, in terms of application of AI, I tend not to use it for final designs, but I think it's a great tool for what I call concept design. So when you want to articulate a concept in the beginning stages, everyone reacts to a visual better than a PowerPoint slide. No offense, Microsoft. When you have a visual in place, people do respond that quickly. So when you're thinking about ideas in the beginning stages, it's not a bad tool to use to kind of start to articulate some of your concepts. And that's actually what we're going to try to do today together. And then, of course, testing and iterations. When you have, as Betty pointed out, when you have lots of iterations or lots of, you want to repeat things and do them in slightly different ways, obviously, there's a lot of automation opportunity with AI. So what we're going to do now is we're going to employ some of the processes that I use at Confetti Labs, and we're going to invent an app concept together, and we're going to attempt to design some of the pages of that app in real time during this session. So I'm going to ask the audience to participate in this one. So I'm inviting everybody to give me your app ideas, and I'm going to take one of the ideas and then develop that. And then when you give me your app idea, also give me an animal, and I'll explain why. And what are your animals that you want to go with these? Jaguar and cat. Okay. All right. These are pretty good. We're going to have to now narrow it down. I'm partial to one, but I'm going to ask the audience, like, what do we want to go with? So we're going to go with Animal Translator, and I'm going to go with Jaguar. All right. Okay, cool. So going back here to the presentation, let me talk through a few more things, and then we'll get started in Midjourney. All right. So, and keep me honest, I'm going to forget the concept, but it's an Animal Translator and it's Jaguar. Does anybody know what a value proposition is? So a value proposition communicates the unique benefits and value of a product or service offered. So that just means it really explains in succinct ways what the app is for. Excuse me. I'm going to show you some examples. So on the left, you're seeing it says build good habits, creating positive behaviors to enhance daily life. And you're seeing wake up early, brush teeth. So you get a sense immediately of what this app is. It's some kind of wellness app. It's helping you to schedule your rituals, whatnot. That's a good example of a value prop. In the middle, you're seeing some bad examples of value prop. It says community, stay in touch, personal desk space. That doesn't really differentiate from every other community, stay in touch, and personal desk space, right? So those are some things we're going to look for. But I do like the illustration style. We're seeing this kind of organic background, and then on the left, the sort of they kind of share this stylized illustration style. And then here's a really good one from a familiar app, Uber. It says easiest way around, anywhere, anytime, low cost to luxury. So you really get the gist of what this app is about if you don't know anything about it. And then some of the themes that we're noticing across these is succinct copy. It's going to be in a mobile environment, so it's got to be really short, flat, colorful illustration styles, amorphous backgrounds, progress dots, and an action button like the one here that says reasons to ride. So you want your users to be able to take action inside of this app. All right, so the first thing that I start with is actually an analog process. So before you go into AI or engage AI, I recommend, kind of figuring out what is your composition or what's your goal. Otherwise, you're going to go down the rabbit hole of AI really fast, and you're going to end up 4 hours inside of Midjourney, and you're not going to have a result that you're happy with. So I always like to start with sketching, or at least writing out what it is that you're trying to accomplish before you go in. So let's now head into the tools themselves with that context. And I'm going to show you a bit, excuse me. We're going to write a prompt together. So I'm going to show you just one example of the prompt that we're going to use. I'm not going to go too deep into prompt writing. I think most of you are familiar with it. But I'll kind of touch on some things here. So here's a recipe. So we're going to go into Midjourney. We're going to say, imagine an illustration in the style of, and I'm going to put in here corporate Memphis. And I happen to know that corporate Memphis is that kind of flat style. It's popular in tag. You see it in all of the apps. You can do research on this stuff and search out different illustration styles. And we're going to say the scenario. So our app was a translator for dogs. Okay. So we're going to say an illustration in the style of corporate Memphis with a dog, or was it jaguars? With a jaguar talking into a megaphone. Okay. Because that tells me like it's talking, something's going to get translated with a white background. And then you can add a value or version. Again, I won't go too deep into this. There's some other speakers that have spoken on this before, but you can also reference the version of Midjourney that you want. And so let's get started. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to open up Discord. Here's my Midjourney. And I'm going to say, imagine. I'm going to copy paste what we just did in there and cross my fingers. All right. Looks like it accepted that. It's going to go to work. And then I'm going to go to ChatGPT. So I'm using 2 tools here, ChatGPT. I'm going to say in ChatGPT, hey, ChatGPT, write a scenario for an app that translates animals animal noises into speech, just translates animal noises. Okay, let's see what it does. Introducing the Animal Speak app, a revolutionary tool to translate animal noises into human language. With the app, people can finally understand and communicate with the fascinating creatures of the animal kingdom. Sarah, a nature enthusiast, wakes up early on a beautiful sunny morning. She decides to go on a hike through a nearby forest to observe the local wildlife. So you get the picture, but what's lovely about this is in an instant, we now have a real human story for this kind of absurd, a slightly absurd concept. So it's really like, this is a great first step for any UX design, is you really want to have a foundation of a real human story to help drive design. Otherwise, you're flailing about, you're going all over the place. So this is helping us kind of structure the app, first of all. And then what you can do, which is a nice nifty trick, is you can say, hey, break this down into screens I will need for the app. All right. Certainly, a splash screen, a main menu, a translation feature, a recording management. So it's now scrubbing all of the apps in the world and figuring out and taking its best guess about what you need. And it's not probably far off. Now, would I use this as a final? No. But what I can do is get ideas about the structure of my app, and it's giving me a sense, and it's giving all of us a sense of the scope of what this might entail. We're not going to have time to design the whole app, but we're going to take a stab at that splash screen or value prop. So let's go check Discord for a second. All right, cool. Look what that did. So while we were busy in ChatGPT, we got our illustrations. These are pretty cool. These are pretty cute. Do we have a favorite? How about 1, 2, 3? Yeah, that's the one I like. And 4? All right. Okay, so we have some votes for 3 and 4. All right, let me get out of here. All right, so I'm going to go back here. The way that you then take it to final is that you can say U3, and I'm going to say U4 to up-res these. Whoa, it's fast. And then I'm going to also create some versions, and I'll tell you why later. But this is pretty cute. Not bad. All right, cool. Awesome. Let's go back to ChatGPT, see what it's done. Okay, it's come up with all my screens. Now I have a general sense of what screens I'll need to design. And then finally, I'm going to go back to that value prop. And I'm going to say, hey, write 3 value props for this app. Let's see what it does. Deepen your connection with nature. Enhance wildlife conservation efforts. Unlock nature's secrets. So they're a little bit vague, a little bit ambiguous. They're not great, but they're not bad. And they kind of give me some ideas, right? And also they're really, really long. That's not going to fit into our app screen at all. So I'm going to tell it shorten to 4 words max. There you go. Connect. These are our value props. So connect with wildlife, empower conservative efforts, conservation efforts, and unlock animal communication. Not bad. Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to now go into Figma. I'm going to paste those guys in here, and we're going to start designing our app. All right, cool. I'm going to go ahead and take connect with wildlife. That's a nice first one to start with. Boom. I'm going to put it in. Please work. I'm going to put it in here. And by the way, I pulled in a component from a library that I have set up. It's pretty generic. And this is it here. And I pulled in my sketch from before. This is kind of what I want it to look like. So I put in connect with wildlife. And I'm going to say something about learn to speak like your furry friends. All right, cool. And then I'm going to start designing. So let's see. All right. That doesn't look very good. So I'm going to increase that to, let's say 40, let's see, 40/45. 45. I'm going to actually go left aligned. I'm going to increase some of the leading in there to 50. I'm going to go left line with this as well. All right, so we're starting to see it. And then we're going to go back to Discord and get our animals. All right. I'm going to say U3, U3. All right. So let me grab this guy. That was our favorite, right? Our Jaguar. And cool. All right. I'm not really happy with this black text. So I'm actually going to take a cue from the illustration. I'm going to pick one of the key colors in here, connect to wildlife. I'm going to take the nice green that they've come up with and have it as a secondary color. And then I take that, make it button color. I want this to be legible, so I'm going to go a little bit bigger. And bam. There's our first app screen. So we had 2 more value props in there. So that's why I created some more animals. Now, what I'm going to do next is a lot of times it's really helpful to create prototypes to start interacting with your apps so that folks can understand how they work. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the screens. And there's 2 more screens since we have 3 value props. All right. And then I'm going to grab some more illustrations. Now, these probably don't reflect the value props really well, but we're going to put them in as placeholders. And when we have all the time in the world, we can go back and replace them. But I'll go ahead and start. This one's a real weird one. What is it? What is that? I have no idea. I don't know if I want to use that one. That's too weird. Let's see. Do we have any other good ones? I kind of like 2 from in here. So I'm going to say you up-res that one. And let's see where it ends up. Let's give it just a second. Well, this is incredibly fast. This is the fastest I've ever seen it work. This is kind of crazy. Okay. I kind of like this one. So we're going to grab that. And then we're going to go back into Figma. And a little trick might be paste to replace. Let's see if that works. That does not work. We're just going to do it manually. All right. And the last one I'm just going to leave alone for the purposes of the demo for right now. I actually don't like that green. I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I'm going to go with that. I'm going to leave that one blank for now. If you want to create a prototype in Figma, you can go into prototype mode. Most of you probably already are familiar with some of these things. And then what you get when you go into prototype mode is get these little nodes, and you can just connect screens just like that. All right. And then one thing that I forgot to do is remember those little dots that we had in here? They show progress. So I'm going to go back to design. I'm going to actually give those that same color. And then I'm going to move them so that it feels like you're progressing inside of the app. So I'm going to move this one over here. Now it's in the middle. And in the third one, sorry, was that the third one? That was. There's 3, and then there is 2. Okay. And then, sorry about that. So back to prototype. And then we have our places in place. We have our pieces. All right. I'm going to generate the prototype. Boom. And then I should be able to click back and forth. One of them is missing. What did I do wrong? Let's see. Oh, I did wrong. So, boom. Oh, I don't know why that's not working properly. The illustration is not showing up. I'll fix that in just a second. But you now have a prototype, so you can click inside of this prototype and advance from screen to screen, and so on and so forth. And so that basically is how you would create a prototype using AI tools. It doesn't do consistency really well. And that's why I, at least for right now, it's right around the corner. It's going to do consistency any minute. But that's why I never like to rely on the tools. I've been in the industry for about 16 years. And what I do know is that tools are always changing. So, and by the minute. So by the time we talk about something this week, next week, it's going to be something else. So the important thing is, that you're using the tools in combination with the skill set that you have today. So what I would do with this is get ideas, maybe get color palettes and composition, and then I would have to redraw for consistency. So I still want to hire an illustrator or illustrate myself, all of the things, all of the different screens, especially for animation, for movies, things like that. You need that consistency across the board. AI doesn't do that really well. So part of our process is to be really, really nimble. And learning new tools takes lots of time. So it's whatever tool gets you to the goal. And almost, I treat the tools as though they're almost irrelevant, because as I said, they change from time to time. So Midjourney isn't the perfect tool, but it does the job that I needed to do. It created our animal imagery. And with the ChatGPT, it did give us some language to start with. Again, you want to have your writers go in, use that skill set to write proper value prompts. So I think there's a balancing act of using your own skill set and tools themselves. So Midjourney is not the end all be all. If you're comfortable with another tool, you can plug that tool into the same process and it'll work just as well. I've only used it conceptually. So for conceptual work, but not final work. I tend to want more control over the final work. And as others were saying earlier, there's limitations to the tools, and I'd rather not spend hours and hours dealing with those limitations and trying to get the tool to do what I want. I would rather go in and start to do that custom work myself using skill sets that I have on my team. In the example that we just did, I didn't mind the color palette that it came up with, so I might take a cue there, but it was a little bit, kind of pastel-y, so I might saturate it a little bit more. So you want to bring your own voice into it a little bit and your own intuition. It did a pretty good job. It wasn't, for being a 15-minute app design, it's not bad at all. But there's definitely things I would change about it. And also the language that it was using. So, this is all a craft. AI is not going to have, your sense of curation, your sense of intuition, your experience designing. And so you're anything it gives you, you're going to want to change it.